Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Smart Drivel.
Is that smart dribble, John? Like I'm dribbling a basketball?
Since you used to run the Harlem Globetrotters, I think there are some people who think we've chosen the name Smart Dribble as an homage to that. However, it's Drivel, which is something we're both well known for. Drivel, Smart Drivel. And this is our latest episode. I'm Jon Ellenthal, and I'm joined by
Kurt Schneider.
And so, Kurt, what are we going to talk about today?
John, the other day, I said to someone, bravo. And they said, what, are you from the 19th century? So I thought maybe there's some old expressions that we don't use anymore that used to be quite in vogue. By the way, in vogue is probably one in and of itself.
You know what? I think you are more prone than the average person to use old expressions. I remember going into the city with you a few years back and you were wearing a fedora.
Yes, I love the fedora.
And I remember saying to you, if I ever came across, tickets to a baseball game from the 1950s, you would be perfectly dressed to go see that. But short of having a time machine, that's not going to happen. But you have some throwback tendencies, Kurt. So I'm not surprised this is a topic of great interest to you. So
I would offer to give you a knuckle sandwich right now, but since that's gone out of style, I guess you wouldn't know what that was, or I don't want to hurt you with it.
Well, I, of course, know what it was since you and I grew up at the same time. I will tell you that if you continue to talk like that, you will be cruising for a bruising.
Okay, Daddy-O. By the way, Daddy-O, I had a friend in college, and we took a seminar on Jack Kerouac. And my friend got so into the 1950s beats that he just, first of all, he stopped showering for most of the term and just seemed to take on the persona. And so ever since, we call him Daddy-O. By the way, you ever heard that song by the Coasters?
No, but
Charlie Brown?
I know the song, but I do want to make it clear that I've never used the term Daddy-O until just now. But it might be a normal part of your parlance calling someone Daddy-O. In fact, you use the word pal to refer to people, and that is a term that has largely gone out of style. But
you think it's an acronym for something? PAL?
Thank you for spelling that, because I was just trying to work that out in my head when you came up with the PAL. So I'm sorry. Let me write that down, Kurt. How do you spell pal?
P as in Peter.
Right.
A as in ass. Mm-hmm. And L as in
lick.
Wid.
Oh, liquid. Okay, I see what you did there. I don't know if it's an acronym, but if you'd like to discuss the origin of any of these, I'm totally game.
Okay. So speaking about origins, who came up with the cod piece? And I'm assuming cod refers to fish. And my guess is maybe the men first put a fish down there to protect and or enhance the appearance of their genitalia.
And what is it about a fish that you would think that anyone would go, hey, that looks like a great way to protect my groin and enhance my apparent appeal?
And who first came up with it?
I don't know, but perhaps a fisherman who was looking to drum up some bigger market for his fish. Was the fish alive or dead in this little mental illustration you're trying to draw?
I'm assuming it's dead, but probably not more than 3 days.
Maybe the term, the term a fish rots from the head. Do you think a fish actually rots from the head?
I think that's a Greek term, by the way.
A fish rots from the head is Greek.
Yeah, I think it talked about how the kings or presidents or something rotted from the head down. And I think it's an ancient Greek expression. But they probably said it in different language.
Do you think a fish rots from the head, literally?
I would doubt it.
I don't think it happens that way either.
I did see, by the way, armor of King Henry VIII the other day and in a museum. And he had quite a cod piece. So I think he was really making up. Do you think it was an
accurate representation of what it was protecting? So speaking of Greece, I spent my 18th birthday in Greece. Would you like to hear more about that?
I would, very much so.
I was on a school trip. I was in high school, much like you, since we graduated from high school the same year. And I had the great pleasure of spending my 18th birthday, in fact, the day at the Parthenon, which I think was under repair at that point.
Not to be confused with the Pantheon in Rome.
That is quite different. You want to spell those?
People do conflate them a lot.
There's a good word, conflate. You want to spell that for me too?
Nope, because I figure you got it. You're a bright guy.
So the whole 9 yards
Wait a second. What happened to Greece and your birthday?
What would you like to know?
What'd you do?
Well, we traveled all over the country. We probably did a 21-day tour packed into 10 days, and we went to the Olympic Stadium in Olympia, and we acted like ugly Americans by running through the archway, chanting "USA, USA."
Oh boy.
Well, we had to. It was the first time abroad for many of us, and we had to learn how to act like ugly Americans abroad. Went to Cape Sunion, which is in the southern part of the country. I think it's on the Aegean Sea, and you'll appreciate this. Well, we both will, since we're both English majors a long time ago. The Temple of Poseidon is right there, Cape Sunion, and there's graffiti carved into the orders.
From when?
From a long time ago. They didn't use spray paint. These were actually carved into the marble. And Lord Byron, the poet, has his signature carved into one of the orders. So he was one of the... What is someone who performs graffiti? Are they a graffiti artist? Are they a graffitist? They're probably not a graffitist.
A graffitist I like. But by the way, Byron, I think, went and fought in one of the wars.
I hope he wore a codpiece.
And then he ended up dying in Greece.
Well, I think it was important for his legacy that he die in Greece.
Maybe it was Tennyson.
Alfred Lord Tennyson, Charge of the Light Brigade.
Yes.
Into the Valley of Death rode the 600. It is a really chilling poem.
So is when he writes Ideals of the King, which is all about King Arthur.
Round table.
Yes.
We're sitting at a round table now, but that's not clear on the podcast.
By the way, Winston Churchill paraphrased Tennyson's Ideals of the King once to Parliament in World War II era. And he said something like, each morn brought forth a gallant knight, and each morn brought forth a gallant chance, and each chance brought forth a gallant knight. He was trying to make his people excited and going. And by the way, some of his word choices we wouldn't use today, getting back to the topic of this podcast.
Which was what?
And I was thinking...
How to spell three-letter words?
Old phrases. I was thinking, and actually someone said this the other day, and I thought it was hysterical, how we've become vulgar as a society. We have just dropped down to vulgarity, and the art of insulting has gone away. Think about the 19th century.
You think it's gone away, or it's just become so explicit?
It's not an art anymore.
Okay.
Now we just use some
assault.
profanity. Exactly. Yeah. But think about the 19th century. If you want to tell a guy to F off back then, you would just say to him, I say good day, sir. I say good day, sir was like the worst thing you could say to someone.
Whenever I hear the term good day, sir, I immediately think of the final scene in Willy Wonka when Charlie shows up at the end and Willy Wonka won't engage him and he says, good day, sir.
Yeah.
And I always go back to that on account of the fact that my children, I think, watched that movie somewhere north of 100 times.
The original with Gene Wilder?
Only the original with Gene Wilder. I thought the Johnny Depp remake was a little dark.
Creepy.
There was no reason to change the entire tone of the movie.
By the way, no one's called a creep anymore.
I was at dinner the other night with friends, and I almost remarked during the conversation that the word creep came up like 3 or 4 times. So when you say no one, I slightly disagree.
But not creep like I'm creeping up on someone, but you're a creep. EEP, not EAP.
We were discussing some people's behavior, and one person in the conversation kept referring to that as creepy.
Creepy is okay, but to call someone a creep. So you do say creepy.
How do you spell that? Creep?
EEPY. CR.
Thank you, because that's important for people who are actually taking notes, which is probably somewhere close to nobody. So that's a great expression. And then I did bring up the whole 9 yards, since we now can move beyond Greece, and that is one of the more popular and confusing phrases. So do you know where that comes from?
By the way, do people still use it?
I don't know. I probably not, so it's probably meets the test of our podcast topic. It's probably gone out of style, but it's also confusing because most people hear the term 9 yards and they immediately think football, and 9 yards makes no sense in football unless you want to be 1 yard short of a first down. So I have a couple of possible explanations for it, and I think you may as well. So let me give one.
Go.
And then, but I think that it's largely... Nothing is acknowledged as the true source of truth. That's a little redundant. Or circular.
That hasn't stopped you in the past.
Life is a circle. So someone once told me that it is the total volume capacity of a cement mixer. And when it tilts back to deliver its contents, they might say, hey, Mac or pal, P-A-L.
You want the whole 9 yards?
And his pal would say, yeah, give me the whole 9 yards. So that is one possible explanation. I've never looked up the capacity of a cement mixer, but we probably could do that pretty easily. Do you have any possible explanations?
Well, by the way, I have heard that myself. So that's,
But did you hear it from me? Because that would be another circular reference.
Another one is the perfect Englishman's three-piece suit made in Savile Row. Is made out of 9 yards of cloth.
Why did you use something other than an English accent to pronounce Savile Row? I think you went a little French there, didn't you?
Savile.
Because I think they speak English with an English accent.
They used to not. They used to speak French, by the way, lingua franca. And in the court, they always spoke French.
Is lingua franca, is that a Latin phrase?
Yes.
Okay,
Which
so
is kind of funny.
You chose to use a French expression that, okay.
Diplomatic language for hundreds of years was French. And since the 20th century, it's now become English.
Yes, well.
By the way, I was thinking about this the other day. Speaking about English.
Yeah.
I cannot stand the Eagles nor Jackson Browne. And we probably lost a few of our viewers right there, listeners right there.
Okay, I've often wondered what's wrong with you, but now it's rather vivid. Let me just mark down the Eagles and Jackson Browne because you were going to try to explain where. Oh, you did. I managed to completely black out here. So I want to go back with another possible explanation, and then we'll go immediately to your rather provocative.
I'll tell you how I got to the Eagles when we get there, just so you know. It does make sense.
I doubt it, but I think it makes sense to you. But I doubt it makes sense. So another possible explanation for the whole 9 yards is that is the full length of all of the bullets on a ribbon that was loaded into old-time fighter jets. So remember that when they were on the ribbon?
Yeah.
And it would process through the gun. Not only do you remember it, but you can produce the sound, which is excellent. I would ask you to spell that sound, but that would be a tough one. In any event, so you might give them the whole 9 yards when you were in a dogfight, and that was all of the bullets you got.
With the Red Baron?
Specifically, if you were shooting at the Red Baron, then you gave them the whole 9 yards. But you would explain it in French by quoting a Latin phrase. So how could you possibly get from the whole 9 yards, lingua franca, French being the language of diplomacy, to I hate the Eagles and Jackson Browne? Riddle us that one, Batman.
I got to the fact that English is now the diplomatic language, and because of the 20th century, and the symbol of America and our prowess is the eagle. And then popped into my head the Eagles, and I really do not like the Eagles. Okay. And the other day, and I do not like Jackson Browne. And much to my chagrin, the other day in someone's car in satellite radio, there was Jackson Browne singing Hotel California. It was just mocking me. Yes, mocking me.
I've never heard that version. So I see how you were able to knit that together. I will point out that it's not the eagle, it's the bald eagle, and all the members of the Eagles, and Jackson Browne included, have a lot of hair. So I don't know if that really adds up. So what is it about them that you find so objectionable?
I just don't like them. And I also,
Kurt, you're not explaining why you don't, and you're a good explainer.
I know, but I will tell you in a second. If I never hear Gordon Lightfoot's wreck of the Edmund St. Fitzgerald, whatever, again on Lake Kumikakachi.
Yeah, that is not.
I will be a very happy person if I never
Have you ever left a cake out in the rain?
Is that a Gordon Lightfoot song?
No, but it's one of those other crazy songs like it's called, I think it's called MacArthur Park. And the refrain is I never left a cake out in the rain. Oh, I forgot what the second line was, but it's equally stupid.
And you know what's equally stupid? Rick Springfield, right? Jesse's girl.
Not to be confused with Dusty Springfield.
Right.
Or Buffalo Springfield.
Right. But also
Or Springfield, Massachusetts.
Or Springfield, Illinois.
Or the Springfield where the Simpsons takes place.
But
do they ever say which Springfield that is?
No.
Probably not. That's what happens in TV land.
And apparently Springfield is in about 60 different states.
There have to be a lot of Springfields. A lot of Riversides, I would guess, as well.
I just
A lot
said
of Elm Streets.
I just said Springfield's in 60 different states.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that. Shame on me for that.
Can I go back to Rick Springfield?
I doubt it.
And he's singing Jesse's Girl.
Uh-huh.
And they try to rhyme.
Wasn't he in like General Hospital or
Yes,
something?
General Hospital.
Okay, good.
They tried to rhyme, as most songs have couplets
Do you remember,
and rhyming.
by the way, who shot JR?
No, it was one of the women.
I think it was his wife's sister, played by Mary Crosby.
I was not a Dallas fan. Anyway,
You hate Dallas.
can we please
the
get
Eagles.
back
You
to
hate Jackson Brown.
No, I don't hate Dallas. I just didn't watch it. So anyway, in the song Jesse's Girl, they tried to rhyme moot and cute.
Oh God!
It does not work. As in the point is moot, not as in cannot
there's
speak.
a
I'm
word
mute.
for rhymes that just are close but don't make. It's called assonance.
It's asinine.
No, it's assonance. I'll spell it for you if you'd like. ASSONANCE. Look it up. Assonance.
I love that.
You know where I learned that? Educating Rita with Michael Caine, who I think was in every movie ever made in the 70s and 80s, and a young woman, I forgot her name, but it was sort of like a modern Pygmalion kind of movie. But he talked about assonance, and she defined it as rhymes that don't work.
Pygmalion, George Bernard Shaw.
George Bernard Shaw was a seriously funny playwright and is the author of the quote that I share with other people more than any other quote.
Do tell.
I will tell. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion it has taken place. George Bernard Shaw.
Very funny.
Well, I think it's more truthful. Funny is not the first word that would come to my mind, too.
I wasn't using funny like haha. I was using funny like That's an interesting turn of phrase.
So I looked up assonance. Thank you for that. In poetry, the repetition of the sound of a vowel or a diphthong, there is an all-time word, diphthong, in non-rhyming stressed syllables never mind, but you got the idea. No need to get so technical here. But diphthong, one day we're going to talk about just great words, and I hope that we remember diphthong.
So back to expressions that have gone out of use. When I was growing up, my father used to, when he was mad at my brother and me, said we were irking the hell out of him.
Ooh.
And boy, we did not want to irk the hell out of him. Irk. Have you irked anyone lately?
I think I irk people just by my mere existence. So I think I've got big irk potential.
But that's not used anymore. Who would say you're irking the hell out of me?
You know what? The next time you have people over, why don't you say you're having a shindig?
I like that.
Yeah.
I could wear my fedora when I do that.
You definitely should. And then when people show up, you could say to them, give me some skin, because you'd like to shake their hands. But you should be really clear. You should extend your hand very quickly after saying, these days, give me some skin. A gap would be a problem.
So thinking of this, whatever happened to playing outside as a kid? Whatever happened?
Well, I think number one, we stopped being kids, so we don't play outside anymore.
But
oh, you mean in general?
Hopscotch, sardines, kick the can.
Foursquare, kill the carrier.
Right, kill the carrier was awesome.
Did you play Foursquare?
Yeah, of course.
All the rules that would be like, okay, no treetops.
Awesome.
No slams.
Love it. It was slams because therefore the ball would go into Mr. Grizzly's front yard, and he was not happy about that.
Wow, if we were that's an allegory, Mr. Grizzly, because he was like a big scary bear who could hurt you. Did he have a lot of hair?
He did, but it was in wrong places.
Oh, so kind of like the bald eagle, which has a lot of plumage, but nothing on top of the head. Or it probably is not bald. It probably is just white plumage.
Did we get to all of our expressions that are no longer?
But I listened. This podcast was a great success for me the moment you taught me how to spell pal.
I was asking if it was an acronym to something. By the way, that's another episode. We can do acronyms.
Okay. Radar, scuba.
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
That's correct.
Thank you for
Judges.
$50.
Judges.
By the way, I once was watching The Gong Show. Have you ever seen The Gong Show?
Of course I watched The Gong Show.
Every single contestant sang Memories, and the one that won sang Memories in Pig Latin. Emry mays, Eicle, a orner K of a I may, eind may. Anyway, that person won.
So when we said radar, or I said radar, it makes me think of palindromes, which is another fun topic. What is do you have a favorite palindrome before we say goodbye to our listeners for this episode?
Not that it comes to the top of my head, but
How about
race car?
Race car is a big one. I think kayak is an underrated palindrome, but race car is the longest one I know. Okay, so I don't know what we talked about. I know we started to talk about words and expressions that have gone out of style, but since we're a little bit behind schedule, I'm going to have to burn rubber on my way home so I'm not late for something.
Bravo.
And you, Kurt, you are the bee's knees.
Thanks, John.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, pal. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for our latest episode of Smart Drivel.
This is Kurt Schneider.
I'm Jon Ellenthal. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.